All right. Well, good morning, everyone. I hope everyone's having a great morning with this cold, frigid weather that we're getting in May. I was a little bummed to wake up and have to dress my daughter in a sweatshirt today when she just got to wear a dress the other day to school. So, um, but go ahead, get your coffee and get ready for a really great show. I'm super excited to have our guest on. If you have not attended a Mixin' It Up before, my name is Taylor Fedewa. I do our communications here at the MLS, as well as teach the real estate photography classes and these Mixin' It Ups and birthday bashes and stuff. So, and then my co-host is Colleen Delange.
Good morning.
So the way this works is we have, every episode's kind of different, but we do giveaways throughout the show with some questions or some tasks that we ask of you. Jessica said that she has a giveaway for you guys, and then we also have a giveaway for you. That's going to, and depending on the episode, we do kind of like to have a giveaway that's in theme with the topic. So if you can imagine, we're going to kind of have some staging stuff as some giveaways for you to use, or just keep for yourself and bust it out when you need to stage a little bit. So and check, make sure there's any housekeeping that we want to talk about here. So our guest is Jessica Smith, and she is going to be talking about some staging and design tips for you, and some photography tips and just kind of her services and things that would be great for you guys to know in the industry and what they're doing and how they're doing in this profession. So Jessica, do you want to introduce yourself?
Yeah, absolutely. So my name is Jessica Smith. I'm the owner of Spotlight Staging and Design. We are based out of Madison Heights, but we travel in about a 3-hour radius. So the vast majority of you that are on this call will be able to reach here today. So we are a full service residential home staging as well as interior design company. And we offer a variety of different services ranging anywhere from just, consultations, occupied homes, obviously vacant staging, but we also do Airbnb, furniture acquirement, and finish selection for a lot of investors and builders as well.
Okay, great. So can you tell us a little bit of how you got started in this industry?
Yeah, I got started many moons ago. I've been in the industry for over a decade. So I started in temporary housing. I actually used to set up model units and temporary housing for international hires, for sports teams, things like that. I was doing it to pay my way through med school. But ironically enough, when I was in high school, I'll never forget, it was my junior year, and I told my grandmother I want to go into interior design. She was an accountant for Chrysler. She said, absolutely not. The economy is cyclical. Eventually it will crash. Interior design is for people who have money. How will you pay your bills? So I went into sports medicine. But ironically enough, I got a job doing something that I absolutely loved and decided to pursue that full time.
Yeah, awesome. So when you and I talked, I kind of addressed basically the stigma that I would assume about staging right now, given the craziness of the market. And that's why, I also think your profession is really interesting. I love decorating and, all that kind of stuff, but it was also like, what is going on from that end of, your industry with the craziness in the market and how quickly homes are flying off the shelf. So do agents are, making sure they still entertain this, and what value that you bring even with this wild market right now?
Yeah, so Interestingly enough, RESA, which is the Real Estate Staging Association, just released their findings for 2021 late last night. So I was up trying to kind of browse through them.
Mhm.
And only about, in the US and Canada, only about 12% of stagers said that they actually saw any dip in business since the
Okay.
beginning of the pandemic and this housing market, which is not only unique to the United States, but it's kind of spanning all over. We
Mhm.
are as busy as ever. And at the end of the day, there are some agents who think, and a lot of homeowners who think that, the market is cuckoo. They don't have to put in the effort, and their house will sell. But what it boils down to is no matter what, if you properly prepare your house, you're going to get more money. So we see, we have our tried and true agents who offer staging consultations, vacant staging, occupied staging to every single client. They're still holding on tight. At the end of the day, I, where I, what I say to agents is there's a very good distinction between what a lot of people think staging is and what it really is.
Sure.
So a lot of clients think of staging as decorating. Am I only coming in to fluff your pillows? I'm going to do that, but that's not the only thing. Realistically, what we're focusing on is marketing or marketability of your house. So, yes, that's aesthetics and that's design, but it also deals with, focusing on lighting and camera angles and how a photo is going to show clutter, how it smells, how it feels, the flow through a walkthrough. So we focus on a lot more than just the initial aesthetics.
Mhm.
And a lot of clients right now, listings are sparse and you have a lot of competition when you go into that listing appointment. So buyers are becoming more and more savvy to staging. Thank you, HGTV. They're keeping me in business. I don't really have to tell people what staging is. Everyone kind of has a sense of it now. But it's becoming a compulsory. Michigan is a little bit behind the curve in some of the, as opposed to, LA or New York or, Portland, Oregon actually has one of the busiest staging markets, surprisingly. But, the value is there. But buyers do know that. So a lot of our agents use that as a listing incentive. And if you're going on a listing presentation, at the end of the day, the client wants to know not only how much they can get for their house, why they should choose you, but like, what are you going to offer over somebody else? So a
Yeah.
lot of our agents include at minimum a staging consultation to bring us in
Okay.
as just an extra value add. And at that point, you have the opportunity to really let a client know I control all variables of your sale from the listing to the to getting it prepared to marketing to presenting it, right? So you are in control of everything, which eases a little bit of the burden, a little bit of the pressure off them. And also, an agent's number one commitment to their client should be, or their duty is their fiduciary duty.
Mhm.
And you know that, you can help your client or at least advise them that, hey, taking these few steps or meeting with this person, even as simple as, printing off a checklist off our website and at least bare minimum have them knock through those kind of things. This
Yeah.
will at the end of the day get you more money. It may
Yeah.
take you a little bit of elbow grease, but it will get you more money in the long run.
Yeah. So on the agent's end, it's educating that homeowner on the value and what, it's not just simply decorating your home, it's making it appeal to a larger demographic of people. Like make it feel like they could live there versus it was somebody else's home and their knickknacks, their sentimental things that are there, but also just that experience of, the flow through the home and all of that as well.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Nobody wants to feel like, there's a reason you go into hotel rooms and they're so sterile
Hmm.
because it's just a clean blank slate. At the end of the day, a buyer walks in and it's all about perception, right?
Hmm.
The perceived value of your home. That's what a lot of staging has to deal with. Your buyer is going to form an opinion or is going to usually view your home in about 6 minutes right now in this market, but they form an opinion in the first 15 seconds. of being in your home. So a properly prepared home, like if I go into a house, and of course I'm there to nitpick, but I, even myself as a professional that's been in this industry for over a decade, I still tend to overlook some stuff if the house is really clean and smells good and is nicely presented. Whereas if I walk in and, like my house, because I have kids and a dog and businesses, is a little bit messier, I'm going to go through that home with a lot more detail and find a lot more things wrong with it, as opposed to doing a quick browse around and focusing on the home itself.
So those kind of things, do you provide to the agent or the homeowner? Like, here's just a couple quick things that you can do to help us get ready, or do you guys come in and just kind of help clean house and decorate, or what involvement is the homeowner? What involvement does the homeowner have?
So the different homeowners and different agents want to be involved at different steps. So for the most part, we do provide, upon booking an appointment, we provide some general tips on, like, here's how you should prepare your home prior to us. And realistically, you don't need to prepare your house prior to us coming in. A lot of homeowners will waste valuable time and energy on things that don't matter. So it's almost better to bring us in from the very beginning and let us set that timeline, expectation, and where to focus your energy. But after the consultation, so if you were to hire us to come into an occupied house, for example, vacant's easy. You just bring us out there, we bring furniture, we make it look pretty, snap some photos, and you get sold, right? Occupied is a little bit more difficult, but a standard consultation, so when we walk through, we provide your clients with, sometimes up to a 25-page PDF report. It's got photos, we draw on it, we have detailed written recommendations room by room. We use the same type of software that a home inspection does. So you can kind of see, I can draw on every photo. We don't take full room photos, we go into a lot of detail, but the client is usually on the hook for that type of work. Now, sometimes they'll hire us to come in and help them declutter, or the agent will recommend they hire, like your last guest that you had, an organizing or like an estate type service where they can kind of clear out a lot of the things. That's an option as well. But usually the beginning of the work is their more personal stuff. So most clients don't want us going through their closets or, really handling any of their valuables, their sentimental items. So we usually recommend that the bulk of the cleaning, the decluttering, the putting away is done prior to us coming out again, if they choose to have us out again.
Yeah, and they would do that, anyways, with like their jewelry and safes and things like that are going to have those valuable things before they're shown. I mean, I would hope showings and things like that too. So it's just kind of getting that jump start on that. I'm wondering, style wise, just what, like the shabby chic retro stuff is kind of coming back to. Farmhouse decor. Is there something that you see kind of coming in the future of style, or is that is that all for the long haul for a while now? This is kind of a personal question too.
So, where and I do a whole presentation. I've presented to a lot of real estate offices and where the trends are going right now. So just a very quick recap. What we're seeing is, open a restoration hardware catalog. White furniture, soft or textural goods like leather, buccal, mohair fabrics, things that feel warm and like a hug. We're focusing a lot less on really like mid-century modern, right? That's considered on its way out, with streamlines, uncomfortable furniture, aesthetically pleasing, but just not super functional. Whereas we're seeing a lot more natural elements, so really rough woods, less painted wood, more natural elements. And then we're seeing a complete 180 on gray. So gray is no longer considered stylish. It's considered, on the end of the trend on its way out. So gray flooring, gray paint. We're going into more creamy whites, browns, beiges again. I'm
That's
here.
what I did. I had to talk my husband out of all the gray. Nothing against the grays, but I was like, this isn't, when I think of it as a little more sterile, a little more, bachelor patty, I guess. So I was like, I want some, some of it, I guess, but I want something a little warmer and just kind of seeing things. That was something that I felt too. It was like more natural stuff was appealing to me anyways, but
We're also
the trends.
we're also seeing it, and you talk about comfort, right? And we're seeing a really interesting trend that they're calling Granny Millennial. And similar to the lovely wallpaper behind me, like a lot of whimsical prints, floral patterns, integrating antique pieces, and why that's comforting, right? You think of your grandmother's house, you think of those type of prints, and that's coming really back into style right now as well. Not a huge fan of it.
Yeah.
For the most part, keep things neutral because it will go out of style again.
Right.
But you're seeing a lot of that, and I'm all
I'm
for
guilty of that for like decor. So I have old cameras, old phones, old microphones. We have like an old not that we smoke or anything, but like cigarette tobacco grinder on our shelf, like just really cool old pieces. And I'm like, I wonder if this is kind of like granny-ish, but I like it. I think it's character.
if you go into Home Goods right now, like you can find so much, there's lots of floral, and I my sister makes fun of me because when I was growing up, I was a tomboy. Yeah, everything had to be very clean and no lace, no flowers. Now I don't think you could find many shirts besides the one that I'm wearing in my closet that don't have lace or florals. And and you go into like Home Goods, and pillows have florals, ottomans, stools, pictures, things like that. So it's an interesting trend, but in terms of putting it into
It's
your
hard to match different patterns. That's
yeah.
where I struggle. Like I'll stick with like kind of one pattern or style throughout. Like I'm kind of on the Moroccan theme a little bit right now, and then everything else is neutral, the warmer neutrals. So I feel like that could be something that you guys would be wonderful at, is mixing those patterns that are still going to look not too busy, but warm and inviting.
And that's the key too. So in terms of helping our interior design clients, we can have a little bit more flexibility there and a little bit more fun in colors and patterns and matching. Staging is kind of the opposite. So we keep it really dare I say bland or boring. But that's really so your homeowner will focus on the walls of the house as opposed to your decor, but still beautiful. But yeah, we mix and match. Like if our dream wall of pillows at our warehouse, and we have a lot of fun with that, and just integrating different patterns that may not seem in first impression that they would work together, but can usually figure it out or tie something else in somewhere else.
So are there different packages that the homeowners can purchase, or the agents, or, kind of how does that work for real estate? I know you do interior design as well, but, is it the agent that hires you majority of the time, or is it split?
So about 95% of our leads or our contacts come from agents directly. Now, the majority of those agents pay for a staging consultation, which for a consultation in person with a written report is between $199 and $249, depending on the size of the house. 99.9% of our agents cover that. Now, there are some agents who offer like a basic staging package. So we have like a mini staging day where we'll come out for a few hours and bring just a small truckload of, some soft goods, artwork, refresh the master bedding, towels, things like that, all of the necessary items that the client needs. Some
Hmm.
agents offer that, and that's, starts at about $500. So how, depending on your price point, obviously it's got to make sense in your bottom line to do that. But some agents even offer, usually in the higher end of the luxury market, some agents fully pay for vacant staging on their listings.
Okay.
But most owner occupied houses, it's either split cost with the agent or the clients covering the cost of that.
Okay. Okay. Um, Now with this, they get like tips as well to help like with the, kind of the basic one. They would get like tips to maybe remove one of the things that I recommend that bothers me in photos is just like obviously clutter, but
Mhm.
cords and stuff, phone chargers and plugs and magnets and all this kind of really just stuff that is easily overlooked because your house is technically clean, but it's still lived in. Um, do you kind of go through and do a lot of that in the package too? So it's more like photo ready.
Yep. So it always starts with the first report. So where we get into that detail is in the report, and there's a lot of red Xing. And I always tell clients, please take no offense. At the
Mhm.
end of the day, you need to separate yourself. This is no longer your home. This is an investment property. And in order to get the most money, you need to step back as, almost as if you're a third party, that you're not involved. And it's not about what you like. It's not an insult to your style in any way, but it's Xing off what we need to do to create a clean slate. And for more hesitant clients, the easiest thing that I like to have them do is take a photo with their cell phone. So no matter how good your photographer is, and we're hopefully hiring professional photographers or taking really good shots ourselves. But no matter how good your photo is, once it gets uploaded into the MLS, it becomes this really compressed, grainy, lower quality photo, similar to your cell phone.
Mhm.
So for hesitant clients, have them stand at where a photo would be taken, right? Have them take a picture with their phone and they can see what their room is going to look like. Anything smaller than a softball is going to show as clutter. Any groupings of little items are really going to show as clutter. Family photos, things like that. It becomes much more evident when you take a picture and you see, like, this is the first thing my,
Eyes
uh,
go to.
buyer. I had a client, and it still makes me laugh to this day. And she thought her house was perfect, right? She hired an interior decorator. There was stuff everywhere. It was gorgeous. It was themed. She took a picture of her office, and she's like, "Oh my gosh, that's what my listing is gonna look like." And I'm like, "Okay, so let's come in here. Let's move a couple things around. Let's remove a lot of stuff. Now let's take another photo." And she's like, "Okay, I'm on board. I get it. I get it."
Yeah.
So it's a nice visual way to see them do that. But yeah, in our report, we go into just a ridiculous amount of detail in any of those little things. And, you
Hmm.
know, it's up to the client whether or not they decide to listen to them, but at least that advice was there. And if they start getting feedback or the agent starts getting feedback and the client didn't do it, it's kind of like, well, we gave
Yeah.
you the opportunity to prepare the property properly, and
Yeah.
here are the recommendations.
Do the agents get anything that kind of helps see like that calculation of dollar to dollar value and maybe some packet, or is there a pitch that maybe you would recommend that they would say like to justify these costs?
Yeah. So on our website, we have a whole list of different resources from, just two double-sided PDF brochures that you can put in there, infographics with staging statistics. We have, the National Association of Realtors. They do a profile of home staging annually. All of that stuff is accessed through our website. But at
Okay.
the end of the day, the latest statistics, which are kind of mind-blowing, is for return your ROI for every dollar that you spend on staging is 586%. That is the average right now. So if I were to tell you, give me $1 and I'll double it, great. Give me $1 and I'll triple it. Wonderful. But if I could tell you 500 more, almost 6 times the amount that you invest, it becomes at that point a no-brainer, right?
Yeah. Wow. That's impressive.
Yeah.
That's awesome. So how are sellers handling what, do you have like a crazy story about maybe a seller and how they've handled you coming in and they didn't want to part with something?
Well, uh, we'll talk about one on Monday. One that we just had, which was probably one of the most unpleasant experiences. So sorry to the agent if you're on here, and you'll know who you are. The agent paid for us to come in, and the agent also covers all costs for staging. So this client, it was their 5th house. They know how to stage. They've done it all before. Their house was perfect. They didn't want me there. And in the initial consultation, I was almost kicked out of the house within the first 3 minutes for suggesting that a rug was scooted to the right 18 inches. So that kind of gives you an idea of how particular this person was. We walked through, and after about an hour, we were laughing, we were chummy, and all was good, and she was on board. But when I came back for staging day, we were back to square one. So at one point in time, and there were like 3 major items that the agent wanted me to do. First was address the master bedroom, no problem. We got over that hurdle, all white, beautiful. Second and the worst, like clear out all the junk from the basement. And the homeowners kicked butt. I'm not, I don't want to undermine what they did. They had boxes. My movers moved all the boxes because they couldn't into the garage for them. But then the third action item he wanted was to move a treadmill out of a main living room area. And at that point, the buyer came down, yelled at me, and she's like, look it, Jessica, look it, that is just enough. You need to promise me you are not moving this.
A treadmill?
A treadmill. And we were moving it 2 feet over in the same room. So, with occupied houses, it's a lot more different. Most of the time you can really, either get to a client in one of 2 ways. One is, just helping them disconnect and helping them see the value in their home. The other is talking money, because realistically, you don't want to move that big giant cabinet. Well, you're at $175 per square foot. That's taking up 10 square feet of your house. Is it worth $1,750 for you to move that cabinet? It is? Okay, let's move it out. And that's, you have to just tailor it to the different personalities, but some battles won't be won with homeowners.
Yeah, we actually do have a really good question that I didn't think about. When you do come in and stage and you move their things or you bring in other items, is it for the day? Is it for the week? Are they living with these items for how long? Like the question was, if the owner is still living there and you do their bedding, are they removing that and putting their own on every day, like taking on that responsibility, or what's that like for the homeowner?
So it can work in 2 ways. First, when we deliver, it's good for 60 days. It's not for just the photos. Because at the end of the day, you want your listing photos to look exactly online as how they do in person, right? You want your house to present the same way. And in owner-occupied houses, we usually give them a couple options. So the easiest option is, as long as they have matching sheets, we just drape a duvet over it. We put their pillows in the closet. And then we dress the bed, and then we just suggest to them, take a picture. It's all pressed, steamed. We use microfiber, so it's not going to get really wrinkly. And you just pull the duvet off, put your pillows back on. Their bed sheets are there. And then they would be responsible for dressing it.
Okay. Yeah, because Jessica said, or Ashley said, Jessica probably makes a better bed than I do. So the way you guys set it up, it's very easy that anybody can just do it. They don't have to remove these things. It's lived in for a while.
Yeah. And then some homeowners ask for us to just purchase them new bedding. And that's another option. And if they want to live on it and they want to, bring this beautiful new bed to their new house, that's something that we can help them with too. But we really we have a very simple formula. It's even, we put it on our social media, 4 pillows, 2 in pillowcases, 2 in shams, 3 accent pillows, 1 duvet that's draped over their stuff, and a throw blanket across the middle. It's not a really hard thing to do.
Mhm.
And as long as the homeowner is present, if they're hesitant, we show them how to make the bed. We really don't do anything special. We don't style it Instagram worthy with multiple layers. It's just not, it's not practical for a lived-in bed. But the homeowners, when we do bring our stuff, the homeowners are advised they are not to sleep in our bedding.
Okay. Hopefully that answers your question, Ashley. Why don't we take a break and do a giveaway? Because we had a question that kind of leads into the giveaway a little bit. One of the questions was, let me read it word for word so I don't get it wrong. But
yeah, we couldn't even pay her to ask that question at that moment. Right? That was pretty good.
I'm late to the show. Is this recorded? So I'm going to show you guys a prize real quick. I think I have to make myself the presenter. Sorry. We bounce around from Zoom to Zoom and
GoToWebinar.
Yeah, Zoom and GoToWebinar. See, that sometimes I forget. So the giveaway is going to be this cutting board set. Keep it for yourself or use it as something to kind of decorate the counters for your listings, and as well as a utensil set. That was something that I ended up doing once I bought my house, as I went through and kind of made my utensils all match a little bit, because I had like random colored ones, some metal ones, some wood ones, some black ones. So I thought this was kind of a cool set for you for our winner. The question though, if you want the first person to answer this right, will win the cutting board set. Based on this question, yes, it's recorded. Where can you guys find this episode? All right, it looks like Kita was the winner. Is that what you're seeing too, Colleen?
Yep.
Okay. Yep, she was right. You can find this on our YouTube channel. We actually have a whole playlist of all of our videos. So we have videos up from our little podcast snippets where it can take you to listen to our podcast episodes. But guess what? We have a whole thing of mixing it up with MiRealSource. So there's all 25 episodes right now. This is episode 26, and it will be on there so you can rewatch it. So yes, it is recorded, and you can rewatch it anytime that you want, as well as any videos on any of our products too.
Congratulations, Kita. Great job. And thank you, Wynn, for asking that question at just the right moment. That was like cue the question for the perfect timing.
All right, Kita. So I'm writing your name down, and I will be reaching out to you to get your preferred mailing address so we can get that cutting board set to you. Okay. All right. Well, I will hand it back off to you, Jessica. Congratulations. Okay. All right. Well, let's lead into the second part of some of the questions that I had, because it is something that I know a lot of agents do. We know there's a lot of different people that they can hire and companies for this, but what is your take on virtual staging? Not really to say don't ever do it, but you informed me on a few things of about virtual staging that I was not aware on.
Yeah, so virtual staging, and I'm going to talk as not only personally, but the Real Estate Staging Association collectively. Virtual staging is a great tool if you have model homes, renderings, things like that of houses that aren't necessarily built, or for apartment complexes that are renting out units that may not be able to walk through. But the Staging Association doesn't really promote it. In fact, we feel it works the opposite way. So there's a few reasons for that. And Taylor, I kind of went over these with you. So virtual staging generally doesn't account for scale. Now, I have a 3D rendering program I could virtual stage if I want. I do 3D rendering mock-ups for my interior design clients. That way they can see what the room is going to look like before they spend thousands on their furnishings. But I can also completely twist proportions of furniture, so it doesn't account for scale. I can make any furniture work in a room, even if it doesn't. Like we recently staged a condo in Royal Oak that was virtually staged, and they decided to have it professionally staged after being on the market for almost 4 months. And if I were to look at the listing photos, they showed a sofa and 4 accent chairs, a large area rug, just a lot of furniture in there. When we went there, it could barely fit a couch and a 7x10 rug and a single chair in there. So think about that as a buyer, you're walking and expecting this really large space and a lot of furnishings, where when you get into the property, it was really misleading on what could actually go in there. And that leads to an immediate disappointment in a buyer.
Yeah.
Also, seeing a really beautifully decorated home online and then walking into just a blank slate or bare bones, it could immediately create negative feelings. And that would in turn have your buyer becoming more critical of the property as they're walking through. So if I'm kind of immediately let down, like think about a Tinder date, right? I think most of us are past this, but we've heard horror stories. And you go on an online dating site and it's a beautiful profile, or let's be real, a lot of our realtor cards, where maybe the photo is younger. We haven't updated in a while. I know mine is in my email. It's about 5 years old. So your date shows up. He's 10 years, he or she. They're 10 years older. They're 30 pounds heavier. They don't look what
they were wearing sunglasses in the picture, and the sunglasses and hats, and you're like, no, that's not what I signed up for.
It's not what you thought you were looking at. So that date's immediately going to start off bad. You're like, oh man, let me call my girlfriend for that, emergency, I gotta go type of thing. And it's the same thought process for us with virtual staging. Okay. And also, the primary focus again is not decorating when it comes to staging. It's creating an emotional attachment in buyers. And that's done through walking a property. It's seeing the textures, the feels, the smells, the way that the home is brought together, and the way that it feels like a home when you're walking through it. And virtual staging, it lacks that. Mm-hmm. So, kind of collectively, we advise against it. But for renderings, models, homes yet to be built, that's really the only way to go there. I would say, if you do decide to go this route, be very cautious there's a lot of companies out there of who you hire, and make sure that they know the layout of the room, of the house, the size of the rooms, so you're not falsely advertising what can fit into that space. A lot of states do not allow virtual staging at all. And especially you cannot put it into your listing photos online without specifically advertising that it was virtual stage and it's not a real depiction of the property.
Yeah. Disclaimer there for them. Yeah, that's interesting because, I know a lot, especially right now with homes being, snatched up really quickly. My sister-in-law, they were looking for a home to move back to Michigan, and she was just like, reached out to me. She's like, is this normal? What's going on? And I'm like, yeah, it's been going on, but it's worse, you know. So they were putting in an offer before they even saw the home. So, you know, they didn't buy it, but I know there's people out there with the relocation that might even just, you know, throw the money, throw that out there and say, yeah, I will buy this home. So if it's virtually staged, you could be signing up for something that you were deceived on.
Absolutely.
Yeah, okay, that's interesting. So like your renderings, are they kind of like the that experience of walking through the home like you see on HDTV, or is it like a PDF template, or how is?
No, we do. It's a three-dimensional, more like a mood board.
Okay,
That rendering software is usually for interior architecture. So that software that they use generally cost anywhere between 15 and 25,000 to do those fancy walkthroughs that they show you on TV. And it also is unbelievably time consuming. So just to do like a true rendering, and it's different with, you know, virtual staging, their programs, they have uploaded 20 chairs, 10 couches, a couple rugs that you can use. In our renderings, we actually have to physically Photoshop each piece of furniture, distort it to properly fit. So you actually see the items that you're buying. So it is, and there is an example of it on our website under the, you know, our interior design services. But it is like a three-dimensional, just really photo that you can print off as a PDF or JPEG when we do those.
okay. And one of the questions from Nancy was, could you go over the packages and stuff, which you kind of touched on.
Yeah.
But I just wanted to mention the link that you sent. In that link has a real breakdown of the packages and some statistics and things that they can use when meeting with sellers and stuff, right?
Yep. So
Okay.
we're probably the only company in Michigan who's transparent with our pricing. All of our pricing is right there on our website. You're going to know what it's going to cost, at least starting prices from the get-go. Occupied staging, just briefly. So a consultation, initial walkthrough, which is 45 minutes to 90 minutes, depending on the size of the property, will run you about $200 to $250. To have us in for a mini staging day starts at 500, goes up to, you know, 750 if it's a higher end property, higher than that if they need more decor or they choose to go higher.
Okay.
We also offer services for occupied where you can hire my team of movers. So if a client does the work, like my problem client, and they just can't move the boxes, but they packed everything up, or they need heavy pieces of furniture that are not the weight of a grand piano, you can hire my whole team for a day where we would come out, you know, 1 or 2 stagers and up to 3 movers. And those packages start at $12.99. They go up to $2,000 depending on the amount of work.
Mm-hmm.
Occupied staging or vacant staging, on the other hand, is, you know, based off, we do starting packages. So vacant staging primary rooms would be the living room, the dining room, master bedroom, kitchen, and up to 2 bathrooms. And for lower price point homes, they start at about $13.99, and that does include professional photography as well. We're partnered with a real estate photographer that does all of our shots for us. That way, he knows how a staged house should be shot, and super high quality. But for luxury houses, they, you know, starting prices go up to $3,300. For interior design, it's a case by case basis, but it starts with an initial meeting, which is usually between 2 to 3 hours, and the charge for that is $299 to have us come out and create a full plan. But then, depending on the needs of the client, if it's just finished selection like we do for builders, we have a set price per room or per house. And then we also kind of have the same set price if you want us to do full interior design for a room. So room renderings with furniture selection, us handling, building, and delivering, you know, that charges a price per room plus a percentage of the retail cost of the furnishings, because we pay for freight shipping, wholesaling, and all that.
Okay, awesome. Ed asked if the link is provided. Yes, it's in the chat. So it's spotlightstagingdesign.com/resources. So when you go there, you kind of see a little teaser of things that are available for you. And you just kind of request that, fill that information out, and you can get all those resources available to you. Kita asked if the home is, does the price change if the property is sold very fast and they don't need all the staging materials for 60 days?
No.
No, it's a flat.
So it's a minimum fee. We do offer for vacant staging. We've offered an option for a 30-day rental. But the truth of the matter is, unless you get a cash offer, you're not closing in 30 days. So we charge by the whole month. Even prior to this bonkers market, our average for stage homes was 23 days on market. This was prior to the pandemic. Right now, we're running 6 hours, 8 hours for our staged properties. But we don't pick up once you get an offer. So we wait until you're through appraisal, your inspection, appraisal, all contingencies are off the table. And then we book out about a week. So you're as close to clear to close as possible. So
Okay.
our average staging date to pick up is usually about 35 days. And furthermore, the point, one of the things about staging, one of the benefits to staging is your house sells faster. So the quicker your house sells, the better we did our job. That's, it's no different than, paying your mechanic to get your brakes done and the brakes were done really well and you didn't have to come back for a while. That 60 days kind of, up to 60 days. But just know that we rarely safely pick up after 30 days. And that's because, we had in our beginning when we thought we were a little smarter than we were, there were a few times where we picked up a bit too early and the deal fell apart. And then we're left to either, pie in our face and go redeliver the house, or to, if the homeowner requested that, then they're responsible to pay for us to come out and stage it again if it has to come to market. Okay. So we wait till as close to closing as we possibly can.
Okay. All right. That makes sense. Do you want to take a break before we go into the photography things in your before and afters? Do
Sure.
a giveaway?
Sure. I got something and actually goes very well with what you gave away.
Oh, okay. Cool. Colleen, do you have a, do you want to kind of run with this one?
You want me to do the question?
Yeah.
Absolutely.
I know I've kind of monopolized this one a little bit. I was excited about Jessica this week. So
no, it's a lot of great information, that's for sure. So, all right. So the question for this week is, we have recently signed on another MLS that their data will be going live in the beginning of the year in January. And if you know the name of the MLS, you can type it in your questions box, and the first person to put it in will be our winner.
So they're not live yet, but they'll be live early next year. We've mentioned that they've been signed on in past episodes and some communications too that you've maybe noticed them.
So it's not somebody who's already there, but somebody who's signed on. We've been getting the word out that the beginning of next year, you'll have their data too. We're pretty excited about it. A lot of mapping, a lot of work. Poor Brian, he's working hard behind the scenes to make all that happen. So the first person who puts it in the questions box.
Jessica, you want to show what the giveaway is?
Hold on, I got to bend down for a second. All right, so along your lines, you have a nice cutting board, and then we have a charcuterie board, marble and mango wood.
Oh my gosh, that's beautiful. Oh my gosh, that is cool. No, Taylor, you can't answer. Ashley, you are correct. That is correct. The Upper Peninsula
There we go.
Association of Realtors will be live in January. It was a hard one.
The
Most
Mountain
people
Dew
don't.
campaign forgot about them. What was the other one recent? There was another one too where they do the states and they ignore the Upper Peninsula.
Yes, yeah, we get a lot of slack for that. But most people don't know there's actually 34 MLSs in the state of Michigan. And by the way, we are 3 MLSs away of actually having the entire state in our data share. So you can guess what we're working on behind the scenes, right? So congratulations, you actually did come up with the correct answer. So good work, Ashley. And it is the UP. So watch for more information on that coming soon. So you'll have even more information for listings from the coast to coast of Michigan.
Awesome. Good job, Ashley. All right. Well, thank you for doing a giveaway for the members, Jessica. And such a cute one too. So do you want to do some before and afters and then a quick few photography tips?
Okay, so
talk about?
I think I've mistakenly shared my screen.
Let me give you access real quick. Or can
I
you
see it? Yep.
Okay.
I can see it. She's good.
So I am going to play. So I'm just going to show you a couple. So we're not sitting here for a long time, but this is a property, even in this hot market, these are all recent listings, that was sitting for 186 days prior to staging. And you know, the major complaints were you couldn't fit a living room in front of the fireplace, the dining room was too big, and then the master bedroom couldn't fit a queen bed. So we addressed all of the different issues. After 186 days on market, it was in contract in less than 20 days. Here is, you know, one of our builders that we work with, who, despite trying to get offers on every property before he puts the for sale sign in, he has been with us since we started. He stages every property and won't let anyone write an offer until it is on market. But just your standard beautiful new construction home. Now he doesn't allow us to hang artwork. Eventually, maybe he will, but probably not. But an entirely different experience when you're looking into that.
That's amazing. That is amazing.
And then this one is our favorite because this property was virtually staged.
Oh yeah, I wanted to ask, but I didn't want to put you on the spot if you didn't have something.
Yeah, I'm not gonna show the virtually staged photos because I ethically I would advise against. But we quoted this property in October of 2020, and we staged the property in early April. So that tells you how long it was on the market. And the property went under contract in 4.5 days after we actually staged it.
Wow. And just the angle you're taking the pictures too can show so much more of the space. You're so limited just standing right in front of that closet door. Right. I think it's a closet, but that door that's like, you know, it doesn't do the space any justice just with the way the first photographer took the picture. So
it definitely doesn't. And this is one of those stages. The living room or the dining room in particular, they had a 6-person table, like big bar stools, and they showed lots of space. And I didn't have a picture of that up here. But realistically, we showed the client that we could barely even fit a small dining table in, and we had to completely go away from bar stools. So this homeowner actually reached out to us and asked to buy the entire dining set because it fit in there so well. After they staged it, where virtually staged, there was just twice as much furniture in there than could actually go. So
and just it didn't look like it could fit that much furniture in it from the first picture because of how it was shot for one, but that's really nice to see what can fit in that space because you can't tell by an empty room.
No, you can. And a lot of times it's the angles too. So and I'm sure you talk about this when you teach photography, but you know, real estate photography is taken at a little bit different angles, or should be taken at different angles than your standard photos, just to kind of maximize the view. Less ceiling, more floor to make the rooms look bigger. So there's a lot of different things, and that's you know, part of the reason why we started offering professional photography with our services as well, is because we really wanted to, you know, help with that marketing aspect. So if your clients or you as an agent are spending hundreds or thousands of dollars on getting the house professionally staged, we wanted your listing photos to look at like it as well.
Right, right. Yeah, I always talk about perspective. It's out of habit that we just always shoot eye level, right? And when you do that, you're limiting yourself between, like, the average woman's height is 5'5" and the average man is like 5'11". So every shot is at actually a really unflattering angle, because you get so much less information, or they're not using the right kind of lens and all that kind of stuff we talk about. Do you have some tips that, not necessarily maybe like, oh, remove this or remove that, but like orientation of things that they could do photography wise, or some lighting tips or things like that that you recommend?
Yes. So a couple things for lighting. We'll touch on that first.
Okay.
Not great to live in. And it may be an unpopular opinion among some stagers, but I generally recommend daylight brightness bulbs. It's a cool blue light, so it shows truer colors than your soft yellow lights. For most of us who don't have, you know, new construction homes with all white walls and white cabinets, the yellow can actually turn your photos yellow and give the paint color a really unflattering tone. So daylight brightness bulbs are going to be a cool blue, but they also are much brighter than your standard light. So if you have a room that doesn't have a lot of lighting or overhead lighting, you only have lamps, that's a really easy way to brighten up the room. I mistakenly put them in my bathroom a couple of weeks ago, and my poor husband walked in and he's like, you know, like going, like, what is going on? And I'm like, I get it. Not for your bathroom vanity, but we have them in our kitchen and we only need one light on to light up the whole kitchen and the living room. So daylight brightness bulbs are great for true color, and then also for, you know, brightening up dark rooms without adding extra lighting.
Okay.
I would also advise, don't design for function, design for camera angles. So we've all been in the business or looked at enough houses long enough to know that, you know, you normally stand in a doorway. You're going to stand in a spot that gets the widest angle of view for the room. So think about your furniture placement, think about your accessory placement in terms of where the photo is going to be taken. And that comes back to where we tell homeowners, we tell agents alike, like, take a photo from the doorway, from the best view of the room, with your phone, with your iPad, and adjust accordingly. So there's a reason why, you know, shorter accessories go in front and taller go behind, so things are blocked. Also, if you see a piece of furniture is obstructing, like the back of a piece of furniture, for a photo or for a walkthrough is no different than a wall. It's an immediate obstruction. Scoot that chair. That's why you see a lot of stagers angle chairs away from the main doorway. That way you can get a clear view into the room. So design for the camera angles. Also limit color schemes. So we've all seen the houses with far too much, you know, I'm a person that can't stand red. You won't find one red thing in my warehouse. Paul hates teal. You know, that's his least favorite color. So really limit the color scheme. Like, you can have pops of colors in your pillows or artwork, but just don't have, you know, blue pillows and blue vases and blue flowers and blue artwork and a blue rug. It just gets really themey, and for photos it doesn't show well. So neutralize as much as possible, and then really limit the amount of color and the different colors that are in a room.
Did you notice that? Is blue a thing, like people with blue or something? Because my mother-in-law, her whole house was blue, blue walls, blue outside, blue stepping stones, blue car, light blue, all of it's baby blue, blue countertops. And I'm like, is this just blue people? Do they love blue? What's going on here?
There seems not to be too much happy medium when it comes to blue, and I dare to say the same thing with teal, because most that we see, but yeah, we just staged this adorable little bungalow in Clawson, and not the homeowners who were in there that we staged for, but they were two doctors. They didn't do any work on the house, but the previous homeowners painted the exterior of the house blue, the door blue, the walls blue, the cabinets blue, the there were so many variations of blue that we had to tone it back a little bit. And then
came in and just like threw up blue everywhere. That was kind of my first impression when it came over. I was like, oh my God. It made me sleepy though. It was so like, tranquil.
Well, it's great, for bedrooms, bathrooms, and nurseries. Anywhere else, blue should kind of be avoided. It doesn't help with the resale cost, and we could talk for hours about what colors really have an effect on the home, but there's certain rooms that should have color, and then for the most part, no, you don't want your living room to be blue, or your kitchen or your office, unless it's a really deep blue, because it is a really calming, tranquil color, and
it'll put you to sleep, and it does. It does.
And then I guess my last tip is, something we see a lot, and less for interior design, but more for staging or marketing, is rely on repetition and symmetry. So it's important that your house feels cohesive. So we always tell people, and they'll always ask us, what color should I paint my front door? There is not a solid answer there. Mm-hmm. Statistically, you get a little over $4,000 more if the numbers are true for having a black front door. But if the rest of the interior of our house doesn't match, then it doesn't make sense. So blue is your first impression, right? We got a blue front door. We expect to walk into blue everywhere. My front door is a sagey green. Mm-hmm. So you will see that carried throughout my house. But start with the door, and then that color, and it doesn't have to be the exact same color or the exact same artwork, but you want to tie it through. So that's where you'll see in staging a lot, like if our accent color is blue, we may have like a little bit of light blue, like 2 light blue pillows and light blue artwork. Then it might not be in the kitchen, but it will be tied into one of the bedrooms, and then tied into towels in the bathroom. So you want it to stay repetitive and cohesive throughout. And then also think about symmetry. Like, I know if you go to, what was Art Van, and was Loves, and now is out, but Gardner White or any furniture store, it drives me nuts because they sell furniture. There's no problem with buying a preset package of furniture, but like your bedroom, for example, they only sell you one nightstand. Your master bedroom should never only have one nightstand, just like your sofa should never only have one side table unless you can't fix it or fit it. So we like things to be really symmetrical. So a sofa, 2 tables, 2 matching lamps, 1 piece of artwork, or the same with a bed, 2 matching nightstands, 2 matching lamps, 2 matching pillows, and keep it really symmetrical. It's just much more pleasing aesthetically. So focus on that. And if you have a lot of odds and end pieces, you can even kind of work through, at a lot of our more eclectic houses, work through to just try and create that as much as possible. And if not, instead of 2 mismatched side tables, put in a floor lamp, just to try and create some sort of balance there.
Okay. All right. Awesome. Really good tips. I appreciate all the information you shared. That was awesome. I just want to let everybody know, because you were talking about the photography tips, that we do have a spring photography program coming up. The first class is the 13th, and you can sign up for that. That's part 1. That's just kind of like some basic stuff, equipment, some tips, how cameras work, aperture, shutter speed, things like that. It is a lot of information to digest. There's homework from there, and then you apply some of these techniques and get familiar with your camera. It's okay if you have a smartphone, the pro smartphones, where you can actually go in and adjust some things. We cover that. And then in part 2, we go over your homework. You have critiques. I talk about some more advanced tips and equipment that you can invest in. So we have the first class on the 13th of May. We have the second part. We have 2 part 2s just so that they're broken up, and I can give a little bit more time in the critiques on the 25th of May and then the 1st of June. And they're all at 11 a.m. And you can find them in some emails that have gone out on our education calendar. If you're interested, you can reach out to me. I can also send you the webinar links and get those over to you. But we'll talk about some different stuff than what Jessica touched on. I love the information that you shared. I might have to kind of incorporate that a little bit from a staging expert of some things to keep in mind. If you guys have any last minute questions, go ahead and ask them now. I know we ran over a few minutes here, but I think it was,
And I know you put the link, Jessica's link in the chat. I also sent it out in the questions box, so they got it in both angles if you didn't get it in the chat earlier. So if you joined us a little bit late, you probably just got it in the questions, but everybody should have it now.
Yeah, good.
And then are you guys able to get Ashley's information over to me?
Yeah, yep. So I have their names written down. I'll reach out to you, Kita. Ashley, I already have your information from the birthday bash last week. So I will get that over to you, Jessica, and Kita, you should be getting an email from me shortly for your cutting board as well. So it doesn't look like any more questions are popping up. That means you did a really thorough job there. But yeah, this was amazing. Colleen, do you have anything extra to add for anybody or for Jessica?
No, it was great. Though comparing those rooms to the before and after, it was absolutely amazing. So what a great job. So I'm excited.
Thank you so much for having me.
Yeah, thank you, Jessica. I really appreciate it. This was fun.
Thanks, Jessica.
Yeah, absolutely.
All right, bye everyone. See you next month.
Bye.